more entertaining and would have many more viewers if I did just that. I'm wanting to raise a serious question here of the ways in which celebrity culture devours and destroys democracy. To kick this off,
Alright, to kick this off, welcome all, one and all, to Soul Mechanics and to the Reality Checks course. Again, it seems that we're going to have to touch back on this à-bas-le-ciel character. We had very high hopes for him. We still do.
No, I still like his videos.
Yeah, he's a very intelligent fellow. He's a damn fine spotter. In my opinion, he's got some ideas a little off from where we'd like for them to be, where we need for them to be, really. But then he also has some ideas that are, like, dramatically far off from where we need for them to be. And
I'm confused by this one particularly.
Right, but what we're doing here, it would seem we're responding yet again to à-bas-le-ciel and to some of his more, I'd say, poorer qualities, to be careful with our wording as he does.
Okay, this was
his shameful quality.
Published September 23rd, Nobody Elected Greta Thunberg, exclamation point, which I believe was the same day as the Climate Action Summit at the UN in New York that she spoke at, which is when this whole thing blew up and people started just jumping on bandwagons left and right all over the nation and all over the world, actually, because this girl has now become a bit of a celebrity herself. The climate school
Deservedly
strike.
so.
Yeah, she started a school strike thing last year, I think, and now today, or what was it, the 20th of September, 3 days before this was published, there was a giant, like, mass protest-type-y event where millions of people, so it started out as just her alone and some students joined in, and now it's millions of people. I guess you could call it a strike. Hers was like a school strike because she took time off of school. Yeah, it was like Friday, I think Fridays for the futures, it's called something like that, and so it started off just being like her wanting to, she had a little sign standing outside of her school. I think she's from like Sweden or something.
Yeah, but she came here in $1 million yacht. Okay, just to be clear here, it would seem we're responding again to à-bas-le-ciel. We are going to be pointing out his opinion here and some of the poorer qualities that he's presenting, but this is actually going to turn out to be a pretty big video on our part. We're going to be responding to several perspectives, several different channels, several different videos here. This is just one of them. This is what kicked it off for us, but ultimately we are responding to Greta Thunberg and her views and what she's presenting. And like the whole ecological thing in and of itself, because that is in fact the basis of the imperative,
right,
ultimately. But there are also various avenues presented here.
Lots of subjects trailing behind the environmental thing.
And off of it in our investigation. Namely, one thing I'd like to present that may or may not turn out to be something important here is that I actually recall having seen this girl do a really big speech that was huge on the internet a long time ago. Like a long, long time ago.
Yes.
I remember this girl.
For the past year.
I mean, further than a year. Like, I'm not jumping on the whole weird conspiracy thing, but the Mandela effect thing. Like, it seems like something's changed here. I'm noticing an inconsistency in my memory.
Yeah, London, October 2018. TikTok in November 2018. Another climate change summit, December 2018, something called Davos in January 2019, European Economic and Social Committee, February 2019, Berlin in March 2019. So she's been talking and all over the place and doing speeches and stuff.
Right, but since 2018, right?
Right.
See, now I remember her back in like 2016, maybe
so she
even
would have been
earlier.
13.
I remember her giving a speech at a school that was really big deal, and it was actually, you showed it to me.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, see? She doesn't remember that happening. I remember that happening, so that's one avenue of this investigation, is that I'm noticing an inconsistency in my memory. And yes, from what we can tell, the Mandela effect phenomenon is very real, and we have various theories as to what might be going on there. So
that one, I don't even want to...
Put a pin in that. We'll come back to that later.
That's a confusing one.
Insofar as goes Greta Thunberg and what Eisel Mazur's opinion here, apparently he's upset because she was granted passage to America on this exceptionally expensive yacht.
I think she sailed it. Somebody. I've been watching a little bit of like videos and reading her Wikipedia page, and I think she sailed it.
That was a good one. If you ever want to check that out, that was a pretty good one.
Okay.
But
I don't know if that's true, but that could possibly be.
Whatever the case, he claims, he says that this yacht was owned or funded by the Rothschilds.
Yeah, something like that.
So I guess, I don't know if he's like leaning towards a conspiracy theory thing.
Well, that's what that is. I mean,
the Rothschilds are some kind of secret
that's like
secret
the
society family that runs everything behind the show.
Yeah, that's like the conspiracy theorist like name drop.
Yeah, the go-to.
Yeah,
the Rothschilds and the what's the other ones? The Rothschilds,
Bilderbergs or whatever. Okay,
yeah.
so and again, we don't know if either of those are true. It could be true. Conspiracies do happen. I don't know. We're not talking about that right now. But when you start dropping Rothschild's name about some kind of yacht in a video about a 16-year-old girl doing speeches for environmental rights, then you're opening up this whole thing into like she's part of what, some kind of global conspiracy, right? It's
like
so that kind of came out of nowhere for me.
She's being manicured,
right?
For this, she's
that
being.
That seems a little weird. I don't know where that seemed like it came out of left field when I watched half of this video before, but the one that really kind of made me a little, gave me a little tick was his comparison between her and Angelina Jolie, which is apparently how this whole started, was this tweet. That is weird. Like, I don't get where that comparison comes from.
Right.
She's in the news cycle for a week, and we all know the public has a very short memory span, so it's not like she's some kind of, like, she had some, yes, she's I guess you could call her, she gained some celebrity, I guess you could call her celebrity, but...
Your Thunberg?
Yeah, and so automatically that he just starts drawing parallels between Angelina Jolie.
Angelina Jolie, because Angelina Jolie adopted these children and
she
became this spokesperson for some kind of a political avenue that...
There's so many. Cambodia? Yes, there's so many weird parallels in this video.
Parallels that don't belong. They don't fit. Like, how do you jump to
Angelina Jolie? You probably could have just put your hand in a bowl of names of hot actresses that are millionaires or whatever, and picked out any one of them. He zeroed in on Angelina Jolie, which I thought was interesting.
And that he is in fact seemingly attacking this 16-year-old girl who is, for all intents and purposes, doing the best possible thing, and actually making a difference here, actually
just trying
doing something
to make a difference.
good.
But let's be real here. I think that it's a little over the top to use words like attack. I mean, maybe defame, I guess, would be more appropriate, but when people go off the handle about, bullying and, you're attacking me, and everybody's just very sensitive nowadays, which I think we can toughen up a little bit online and in real life. I mean, a little bit, it's obviously it's not right to talk smack about people, but there's assholes everywhere and you can't do anything about it.
And I think this
you have to be strong enough to deal with it, and so attack, I think, is a strong word.
Yeah, well, where he's saying that, I don't know why he's saying this or how it applies what he's trying to get at here, but he does in fact raise the issue that she is, in his words, mentally retarded, because I guess she has autism or what was it, Asperger's?
Asperger's or autism. I haven't figured out exactly which one. It just seems.
Which I'm wondering how that even applies, considering that she seems to be exceptionally intelligent. She's very willful. She's stepping up and doing something like.
Yeah, she's functional and in daily life and able to do things for herself and speak and
right.
have complete thought processes. But that's again why they call it a spectrum of autism, is because there are super severe cases where people have no idea what's going on and what planet they're on, and then there's more mild cases where people might have
tics and shit.
Yeah, might have tics, or they might have problems remembering things, but otherwise they're perfectly functional and able to go to school and dress themselves and bathe and all that stuff. So it's a wide spectrum, and so to just put that under one bubble of like, well, she's retarded, so we shouldn't listen to her, is weird.
And I'm wondering if that's what he's saying. Is he saying that we shouldn't listen to her?
I don't want to imply that's what he's saying, because I have no idea, but
right.
he did bring it up so far 3 times in this video, and it's only like a 6-minute video or whatever, so I don't know. I mean, it's weird. I don't think it is relevant to anything that she's doing, or the fact that she's gained this temporary fame.
We're going to have to go ahead and see where he is going with this. But I think that the whole thing speaks to the nature of our situation ultimately, considering that this is a very childish kind of perspective to have, where we take such offense to things, and we drop these terms like, essentially accusing somebody of being retarded for whatever reason, where in fact they seem very highly functional, perhaps even more functional than he is, and
well, you don't know that. I mean,
well, look at what she's doing. I mean, in a matter of
moments. But all we
moments.
have is her Wikipedia page and other stuff and other things like that online. And the same goes for, the guy who made the videos, and we don't really know him personally, and all we have is his videos and his profiles and things like that to glean any kind of personal information. So, I know, we can't really say anything
we can say that
specifically.
à-bas-le-ciel is making a huge impact via YouTube. He's a great YouTuber. He's essentially seemingly a mastered rhetorician and an expert in several fields of literature and whatnot. He's studied in Buddhism, in many of the elder traditions, in fact, but primarily Buddhism and Hinduism.
I watched the video he did about Aristotle and the role of women in society, and that was interesting.
Yeah, philosophies.
Yeah, he dived in. I mean, he dove into Aristotle like it wasn't nothing. I mean, that's pretty impressive.
He's a philosopher for sure, and he's a vegan/atheist activist for the most part. So he's making an impact in that way. But then there's
how's it any different than what she's doing for the environment?
There's this girl who is an ecological activist who is speaking at UN functions on stage.
Maybe the implication he's going for is, how did she get up on that
That's
stage?
What I'm saying is, how did she get there?
Is this just
who funded this? Who made this happen? How did she wind up there? That's the question.
Stuff like that happens all the time. I mean, how was Brad Pitt discovered? How was anybody that has that celebrity or that fame in popular culture? You could say that about anybody. It was right place, right time, synchronicity. Somebody discovered whoever, and then they become this huge star or famous person. That happens all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So why is it a conspiracy when it's her?
Well, we're going to find out, because, as I was saying, what we're going to have to do, we're going to have to actually, go through this video and respond to this video, but there's a lot in here. Our video here is not going to be necessarily focused on this video alone. This is going to be part 1 of a series we're going to do on Greta Thunberg, and specifically, and what's going on with her, sort of, I guess you could say, an investigation into her and what she's accomplishing, what her motives are and whatnot, and what brought her here, beginning with Isel Mazard / alias à-bas-le-ciel's initial video that brought us into
Well,
this.
I'll be honest. The day that she did this, you went to talk with the 23rd, which is what, Sunday or Monday or something like that. I was sitting on my porch just scrolling through Instagram, and her speech popped up on like a, I don't know, Vice News post or something like that, and I was like, oh, who's this chick? And I watched it, and initially, without any prior knowledge whatsoever, I didn't know who she was or what she was doing, and I was very moved and touched by her speech and her plea, and I thought it was absolutely appropriate to call out, so to speak, the so-called adults and authority figures in the world itself for basically dragging their feet, and
right,
you know,
exactly.
and it's what's it's going to come down to is it's going to fall on the heads of the younger people and people that aren't even born yet for being terribly careless and being motivated by profit alone and doing things like that. So what's wrong with that? She called out these greedy dicks.
And that's
awesome.
It does call into effect so many different factors regarding, our future in general, and the state of affairs insofar as where we're headed and why. So, I mean, I'm not sure really that how she got here
even matters.
applies.
Right.
Because
or is, like we said about the autism thing, like is it even relevant to what is happening right now?
And for example, as I was saying with the whole childish mentality, it's like this immature outlook and attitude to where we're making terminology offensive, and like the whole gender role thing and all of that that comes into where the false activist complex fucking. What do we call it? Virtue signaling.
The virtue signaling. I like to use the term. Oh, what is it? It's the offense Olympics. But you know what I mean. It's like who can get the most mad and offended and hurt. And
who can take the most offense?
The victim Olympics. I win. I'm the best victim.
This victimization complex.
It is out of control.
It's very childish and immature, but it's not simply affecting the younger generations now. It's stretching out into the
oh yeah, schools and industries.
We're being infected by it, and
everything.
That seems to be a kind of a conspiracy in play. And again, as I've said so many times, it doesn't seem to be a conspiracy that's launched by any people. It seems to be its own. It's like our own Frankenstein's monster that we've created.
Like as a whole.
Right. It's just an infection that's corrupting the system.
That seems more believable than one or two people conspired to make Greta Thunberg go on, on the news for a week or whatever.
If Greta Thunberg's doing good things, who's to say, and if she's funded by the Rothschilds or placed there by the Rothschilds, who's to say that the Rothschilds or the Bilderbergers are bad guys because they're rich? Like,
what if the
just because we're jealous
is to actually cause change and help the environment? Does that not matter? The intention has to matter, and I tell young people that I have contact with this all the time. It's like you can't just throw away intention. If somebody hurts your feelings or says a word that offends you, or if you're at a comedy show and you storm out or whatever, like you have to. It's a joke. A lot of comedians are dealing with this now, and it's getting a little bit out of control. But you can't just throw away intention. Intention fucking matters.
Which brings us a lead to our next video that we can respond to after this one.
Makes a big difference. If my intention is not to hurt your feelings or to offend you or to victimize you, then why does that get thrown out the window?
Exactly. And a good example right here in the programming that's involved here is something that, again, religion will offer us, is the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Well,
yeah, that's a famous saying.
Why?
I wonder where that saying came from, the origin of that saying.
We're going to have to look into that. That'll be a part of the investigation because that's yet another farce. Wherein they're going to say the road to hell is paved with good intentions, essentially telling us that good intentions is a bad thing.
Yeah, you're going to go to hell. Oh, that's another one, like the fruit of the tree of life, the fruit of knowledge, is evil and bad and going to destroy the world or whatever. You can't touch it. Don't touch it. It's forbidden.
Right. Something that I actually missed in
knowledge
my last video on atheism, which, by the way, for our new troller who got me on the atheist video. I'm still waiting on your response, man. What the fuck is woo-woo about what I said to you? Like, please, give me an example.
That's
any
my favorite
example.
term. I love
right.
that. It's woo-woo.
This woo-woo.
Yeah,
like
you can't find a better word to describe it.
It's the same thing. Saying that something is woo-woo because you don't understand it is the same as the religious folks saying it's because the Bible said so.
Right.
It's the same thing.
That's funny.
And you've been given that by cultist influences. You've been handed this dismissal term that's essentially useless. It's meaningless.
Well, that's another thing about if we're talking about senseless and the way that terms and words get, I don't know, this like feeling about them, like the term conspiracy itself. This guy's talking about Rothschilds. Like, conspiracy originally, I mean, it's a legal term for two or more people that are conspiring against a group or a a person.
Conspiring really to commit fraud, essentially.
Exactly. So, and then I can't remember, but in like maybe the 50s, when all the UFO stuff started happening, of Roswell crash and all the paper, newspaper articles and whatever, there was like this crazy like secret campaign to turn that word into some kind of like, woo-woo term, and that anybody that uses it, immediately there's this feeling about that word that if you say it, you're automatically a psycho.
Discredited, yeah.
Yeah,
it's the gaslighting thing.
Yeah, it discredits everything you say, all of your opinions, because you use that one word once, when really it's a legal term.
Yeah, and it's a very useful legal term. But what I missed in the atheism video / religion part 2 video was that eating from the what I think the metaphorical value behind the eating from the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil essentially is that suggesting or implying, making use of the value that implies that good and evil exists right then and there. That's the problem. The moment that you decide there's such a thing as good and evil, you've made the initial mistake. You've made the division.
Yes, but relativity is useful for experience. It's essential for experience.
That's why I've said that division itself is the value that creates all things. The initial...
Yeah, because you can't know what something bad is without knowing
what
good is.
It's literally 1 second. One another, 1 second is what makes all time happen.
Yeah, it's relativity. I mean, that's you have to know what dark looks like to know what light looks like.
Yep.
I mean, that's necessary for experience. We have to have that relativity to be able. So division itself isn't a negative thing.
No.
It helps us know who we are.
And
it helps us experience.
That gets even deeper into our battle against division. Is that it is in fact an ally. There is no enemy. Anyways, that's what we're going to do. We're going to follow up with this video, and we're going to continue into others that are wherever our leads take us. We already have one lead on it, but we're out of time for this video right now. Thank you all so very much for watching. Thank you so much for being in attendance, all of you. There's 111 of you now. We love and appreciate everyone. We cherish your presence.
Welcome.
So, thanks again. Kila Salai, Terve Uni Siari, Namaste.
See you in now.